It's Saturday morning cartoons. And so we've got some visual images. Here, I'll animate them. But they're the Hebrew letter Oyin and Zayin. Probably, if we're reading it in Hebrew, it would probably be something more in this Oyin, Zayin. Oyin is the devil. Zayin is the lovers. And put them together, they spell Oz, O-Z's, 77. Which, as we'll find out in a little while, is the number of LAYLAH. You know, this morning I posted a goofy picture of me in ceremonial robe making a certain gesture. And I asked the question, are there ordinary events in your life your initiations? And are the people in your life your initiating officers? And then the third question was, are you paying attention? Now we all know the story of when Jesus was on the cross and almost dying. He was dying, but he was almost through. He's going to give up the ghost. And the last thing he said, according to the gospel narrative, is, Father, O Father, why hast thou forsaken me? Now, magicians could point to that statement as a statement of an initiate who was in the process of crossing the abyss, where even the idea of being separated from another idea, even ideas as closely connected as father and son, is dissolved. In crossing the abyss, all concepts of what the Father was in relationship to you are dissolved in the experience of dissolving. You're losing everything. The Father is forsaking you. The Mother is forsaking you. Everything you thought was you to be forsaken to, it goes away. So magicians point to that statement as, that's the perfect thing for a great initiate to say as they're crossing the abyss. And we could look at that as profound and as mythological and as allegorical as we could make that great moment in that tale. It was Jesus' ordinary life. It was his ordinary life. Got himself in trouble. Got himself executed. It was part of his everyday life. But when we tell the story, we can see how when he was brought before Pontius Pilate, it's just like Dionysus being brought before King Pentheus. Asked him the same damn question, got the same non-answer, got him in trouble. But ultimately he spiritually gets out of it. But it was an event in ordinary life. And we're all familiar with, or many of us are familiar with, the story of Abramelin the Jew going to the North African or Egyptian Sahara to meet up with Abramelin, the great mage to get the secret to the holy magic of getting your holy guardian angel. And he describes the whole process quite eloquently. And the description of the circumstances of how you become one with the angels, it's pretty clear. But it's a pretty romantic tale that it's telling, and none of us are sure, well, how's that going to work out in my life? And then we've got Crowley taking his take on the Abramelin operation, and he sort of distills it and puts it together in his Liber Somic, using the Abramelin operation as a formula. And if the formula is followed and tweaked to your own circumstances, it works. In my personal experience, great initiatory landmarks take place under very, very ordinary circumstances. So ordinary that it is difficult, sometimes impossible, to recognize them for what they are as they are happening. I spent about an hour during one of my addresses to the OTO's national conference a few years back, talking about the experience of the knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel, and I describe it as best I can. But it is something that occurred in the ordinary circumstances of life that made themselves clear that that's what was happening. And when analyzed against the stories you've read and what Crowley has to say about the process and what Abramelin has to say about the process, it is everything that's advertised, but nothing like you expected. And it occurs in a way that seems like the ordinary unfolding of circumstances and events. So that's why I ask, are the ordinary events in your life actually initiatory experiences? And are the people in your life, all around you, are they acting as your initiating officers? The point is, are you even paying attention?
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Fuck you, Siri. You're not supposed to be listening here, okay? Oh, that is too much. Okay, I rest my case.
I think you need help explaining it.
Okay, come here and help me explain it, dear.
Oh, I don't even know what you're talking about. I just heard that part. I just heard the entire good part.
Oh, shit. Okay, how do I turn this Siri off? Get out of here, you crazy Siri. Okay.
Ordinary circumstances of your life.
It's the ordinary circumstances
Pay attention, be aware, wake
Woo! Somebody's talking directly to me. Go ahead and close the door, dear. It'll be okay for you to close the door now. Okay. I guess the point I'm trying to make here at the beginning of Saturday morning cartoons is that when we read the works of other mystics and other great magicians and initiates, and then we read their like what we would consider collateral work, the books they write, the poems they compose, and in Crowley's case, the material that they channel. If we all look at that as an allegory within an allegory of their experience, then we give ourselves permission to sort of lighten up and say, okay, this happened to Crowley in the ordinary course of events. Now, with magicians, the ordinary course of events is pretty exotic stuff. You do rituals. You do prepare yourself. You do try to consciously mutate yourself and reprogram yourself to be better in tune to pay attention. So it's pretty exotic stuff. But when we read, like in the holy books, which we've been doing on and off in this series, Crowley talks about a white cat on a roof. Okay, and all the Kabbalists among us is going, the white cat on the roof. He's talking about Kether, the white point at the top, at the very rooftop of the tree of life. Yeah, that's what that is. But in my mind, there was actually a white cat on the roof next door, making noise while Crowley was undergoing this initiatory experience itself. And you hear this, and he looks up and he's, white cat upon the roof of this, because everything is being interpreted as a direct communication of God to his soul. And so in that case, there is no ordinary circumstances. They are a direct communication with God, the absolute, the white fucking cat on top of the roof, to your soul. So when we read in the Book of Lies all of these chapters on Layla, it's a romance. I mean, you saw her picture. She's drop dead gorgeous, okay? And Crowley was gaga, head over heels in love with this gal, okay? And she's got her own life. She's everything else. And the Crowley thing is just a big part of her spiritual life. But she's got real gigs, okay? She's a concert violinist, and she's got stuff to do. And she's her own magician too, and she goes off to America to do some stuff, and she sort of leaves Crowley in the dust in England, and he's just going crazy for her. He's going crazy for her in a physical way, but he's also going crazy for her like Ramakrishna and his Shakti, if you will, the Holy Mother. Okay, they did it in their own way. They're not quite as overtly frisky as Crowley and Layla, but it's understanding. Okay, and so when we're thinking about Crowley, yes, he's crossed the abyss and he's understanding himself as a master of the temple, and now he's a magus, and Layla has become his Shakti in Bina. Yeah, that's Kabbalistic looking at these things in retrospect. While it's happening, it's ordinary, everyday life of an almost adolescent romance. So I'm going to pick up where we left off yesterday in the Layla chapters of the Book of Lies, and I want you to sort of keep that in mind. This one's called Marjorie Daw. It's number 63. And the commentary, I'll read it first to get it out of the way. The chapter returns to the subject of Laylah, and the subject already discussed in chapter 3 and others, in particular chapter 56. And we read chapter 56 yesterday, which was the trouble with twins. The title of the chapter refers to the old rhyme, "See, saw Marjorie Daw, sold her bed to lie on straw. Was she not a silly slut to sell her bed to lie upon dirt?" The word seesaw is significant to almost a comment on this chapter. To the master of the temple, opposites rule apply. His unity seeks the many, and the many is again transmuted to the one, salve et coagula. That's sort of why I did that, posted that picture this morning. Okay, here it is. I love Laylah. I lack Laylah. Where is the mystic grace, sayest thou? Who told thee, man, that Laylah is not Nuit, and I, Hadit? I destroy all things. They are reborn in other shapes. I give up all for one, and this one hath given up its unity for all. I wrenched dog backwards to find God. Now God barks. Think me not fallen because I love Laylah and lack Laylah. I am the master of the universe. Then give me a heap of straw in a hut and Laylah naked. Amen. The next chapter is also a Laylah chapter. It's one of my favorites. Now, Laylah's gone to America, okay? And Crowley doesn't have enough money to go join her. If he had enough money, he'd be right there with her. But she had to go off for a gig or something. And to drown his sorrow, he goes to expensive restaurants. He's got enough money to go to expensive restaurants and meet friends for dinner and things like that. And one of the restaurants is La Perouse, I believe. And probably Crowley was in Paris. But listen to this. And this is how Crowley's magic works in ordinary ways. Constances is what it's called. I was discussing oysters with a crony. God sent to me the angels, Din and Doni. Those are mercurial spirits. Their names both add to 64. 64 is 8 times 8, and 8 is the sphere of Mercury. Okay, I'll start again. Sorry for the digression. I was discussing oysters with a crony. God sent to me the angels Din and Doni. A man of spunk, they urged, would hardly choose to breakfast every day chez La Perouse. No, I replied, he would not do so. But think of his woe if La Perouse were shut. I eat these oysters, I drink this wine, solely to drown this misery of mine. Yet the last height of consolation's cold, its pinnacle is not to be consoled. And though I sleep with Jane and Eleanor, I feel no better than I did before. And Julian only fixes in my mind. Even before feels better than behind. You are mercurial spirits, so be kind as to enable me to raise the wind. Put me in Laylah's arms again. The accursed, leaving me that else how may do his worst. Din and Donny, perceiving me inspired, conceived their task was finished. They retired. I turned upon my friend and, breaking bounds, borrowed a trifle of 200 pounds. Din and Donny got him thinking in such a way, he said, fuck, just ask your friend here for 200 pounds, get yourself to America. That's Crowley for you, okay? I'm going to read the commentary. 64 is the number of Mercury and of the intelligence of that planet, Din and Donny. The moral of the chapter is that one wants liberty, although one may not wish to exercise it. The author would readily die in defense of his right of Englishmen to play football, or his own right not to play it. As a great poet has expressed it, we don't want to fight, but by jingo if we do. This is his meaning toward his attitude to complete freedom of speech and action. He refuses to listen to the ostensible criticism of the spirits and explains his own position. Their real mission was to arouse him to confidence and action. Now remember, these commentaries were written years after the text, too. So this is Crowley talking about these in retrospect. Okay. The next one is called Sic Transient. Okay. So it passes, or so he may pass away. At last I lifted up mine eyes and beheld, lo, the flame of violet, become tendrils of smoke as mist at sunset upon the marshlands. And in the midst of the moon pearl of silver was a lily of white gold. In this lily all is honey. In this lily that flowereth at midnight. In this lily is all perfume. In this lily is all music, and it enfolded me. Thus the disciples that watched and found a dead body kneeling at the altar. So he passes away. Amen. And he's going after Lily. That makes it sort of a Laylah chapter, and he says so in the commentary. 65 is the number of Adonai, the holy guardian angel. The chapter title means, so may he pass away, a blank, obviously referring to Nemo. Okay, Nemo is the no man, the name of the master of the temple. The moon pearl of silver is the path of Gimel. It goes from 6 to 1 on the tree of life, leading from Tifereth to Kether. The flames of violet are the Ajna chakra. The lily, of course, is Kether. The lotus of the Sahasrara. Lily is spelt with a capital L to connect it with Laylah. The next one is 66, the Praying Mantis. 66, here's the commentary, 66 is the number of Allah. The Praying Mantis is a blasphemous grasshopper, which caricatures the pious. This chapter refers to the subject of Laylah, whom the author exalts above God. In continuation of the reasonings given the previous chapters we've read, she is identified with NOX, by the quotation from Liber 65. That'll be here. Okay, 66 is the number of Allah, but 77 is the number of Layla. 77 is also the numeration for Metzlah, which is the influence from the highest. So all the stuff coming down the tree of life, the influence, it's all coming from the influence of Kether, all the paths, all the Sephirah, everything. And it also means a goat, O-Z. Yeah, Lon's bringing it all together with the cartoons, O-Z. Okay, and look at what that Z is. It's that lovers thing. And Crowley is in love. The Praying Mantis. Say, God is one. Allah Ahad. God is one. Thus I obeyed for 1,001 times a night, for 1,000 nights and one did I affirm the unity. But night only means Layla. And unity and God are not worth even her blemishes. Allah is only 66, but Layla counteth up to 77. Yea, the night shall cover all. The night shall cover all. Now, when I first read these, I sort of was picturing Crowley almost in a fairy tale environment. I put him in the mystic quarters with his turban on, perhaps, and robes and hanging stuff and beaded room separators and incense. But it's just happening in the course of his everyday life, and things can be pretty, can be a drudge sometimes. And a lot of this stuff is happening in very modest circumstances. Okay, this is the last one for today. We're going to continue tomorrow. 68, it's called manna. And manna was the heavenly cake, which in legend fed the children of Israel in the wilderness. The author is lamenting the failure of his mission to mankind, but comforts himself with the following reflections. This is still commentary. He enjoys the advantages of solitude. Previous prophets encountered similar difficulties in convincing their hearers, and their food was not equal to that obtained at Rumpelmeyer's, which another fancy place that Crowley's eating at, probably a deli with sweet stuff. In a few days, I'm going to rejoin Layla, probably with that 300 pounds or 100 pounds that he borrowed from his friend. My mission will succeed soon enough. And then finally, death will remove the nuisance of success. That's a meme for you. Okay. Manna. At 4 o'clock, there's hardly anybody in Rumpelmeyer's. I have my choice of place and service. The babble of the apes will begin soon enough. O pioneers, sat not Elijah under the juniper tree and wept? Was not Muhammad forsaken in Mecca, and Jesus at Gethsemane? Not Gethsemane, Gethsemane. And Jesus at Yosemite? These prophets were sad at heart, but the chocolate at Rumpelmeyer's is great. And the mousse Knox, or the mousse noir, is like Nephthys for perfection. Also, there's these little meringues with cream and chestnut pulp, very velvety seductions. Sail I not toward Laylah within 7 days? Be not sad at heart, O prophet. The babble of the apes will presently begin. Nay, rejoice exceedingly, for after all the babble of the apes, the silence of night. Okay, that's where we're going to leave. Tomorrow for Sunday school, we'll hopefully pick up the last of the Laylah chapters that run like a golden thread through the Book of Lies. There are other golden thread type, there we go, chapters that are strung together like that. And we're on the Laylah chapters. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.